music cuts so fast. Hold on a second, y'all. Let's get into it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Ah, another ring walk conversation that we had that's powerful, and it segues into the powerful show that we're going to have. Stay woke while white supremacy attaches negative labels to Black progress. Isn't that the
Yes,
truth?
sir. That is the truth. Well,
I'm glad to be
greetings
here.
to you, brother, and the family as always.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, that title says a lot, because as you and I were talking, we know that we have to take the opposite polarity of the
Yes.
message that they put out about us and our struggles and our progress, and how we're going to examine today how they have taken us back as a nation almost 100 years when this first incident happened. But we'll get into that in a minute. Again, greetings to you and the family. But as always, this banner is very intriguing, because I often hear you make this statement a lot.
It speaks for itself. I don't even think I have to explain it.
If you want
Let's
to
put it
break
up.
it down for us, man. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I wanted to make a simple statement that was very powerful. So when we look at the
Okay.
title, Stay Woke While White Supremacy Attaches Negative Labels to Black Progress, we have all types of Black progress, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to capture in one punch of a visual. So this is on a simpler level. We're at the
Yeah.
beach, and we have some ice being sold that people can put in their drinks or put in a little ice bag and keep cool, whatever. And to simply make it obvious, you know, the title says what it says, but then now I had a little word bubble where the white man says, now you all know my ice is colder. And you have the Black man on the other side. He doesn't have any customers at all. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that will caught my eye right away. I'm sure,
and
like a
all
lot
of
of
us, yeah, and all of us should be patronizing the brother. And this
yes,
man knows it.
yeah.
He knows
Now,
it.
and that brings up another subject, a whole nother twist to this.
Yes,
Is we are the only ones that don't see it that way. Even, let's say, even if you're selling something that's not as good as what someone else has, that is beside the point in
exactly.
America when you're dealing with capitalism or feudalism.
That's right.
Because all other groups, they do not buy from our businesses. We know the statistics on this. So, but Black people have this this outlook like, okay, well, I want the best deal, right? It might be the best deal for you in terms of fiat, but it's not helping you grow your base. And your
Exactly.
base is Black folks. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot in this picture, brother. What else? What else? Are you conceptualizing from this?
Well, and this stems from a conversation I had with a dear sister maybe about 2 hours ago. Actually,
Okay.
it was shared voicemails. How many of us, and I'll say this way, that we're marbleized, meaning we're mixed in our spirit. We love Black power. We love our fist up. We love talking the talk, and some of us love walking the walk. But at the same time, a lot of us have not dislodged from our love of craving to be white. The whole whiteness is more, it's better, it's cleaner, it's got to be. I'm not saying that, but subconsciously we act that way. We talk
Yeah.
one thing and we gravitate towards something else.
Yeah, our behavior
Now,
shows it.
yeah, it's hard to get out of this world without dealing with what they've attempted to conquer us with and to show our wealth from their side of what they stole. But it's not them, it's us, it's our magic.
I agree.
They stole our magic, they stole our wealth, they stole our soul, and we bow down to them like it's them. But it's really us. We taught them put their behind. We taught them about civilization. They erased it out of history and convinced us that it's them who are the gods. They made the gods a representation of their religions white, and we bow down. And I got to give more time for us to come up out of it. I said, well, you know, a couple generations. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. It may get better.
Mine either.
Who knows? It's so deeply embedded that it's going to take time. And some of us are going to have to die off. There's going to be a few of us who really internalize this thing.
Yeah.
They really did a number on us. I'm not saying defeat, but victory.
It's a fact. And we have to deal with facts.
Yeah. We're down on the cards, y'all. Look at the picture. We're down on the cards.
We are.
We'll talk the talk, but we'll still go to the malls for them and others to support them, and we won't even support ourselves. And on top of that, there are many of us who are selling to us who really are not about us. They're trying to get a leg up to get away from us.
We're in the 12th round, and we're behind on all scorecards.
We need a knockout, man. We need a devastating knockout.
That is really what it's going to come down to. That we can't win the fight unless we have a knockout.
Yeah. And at the same time, we're fighting each other, which is not acceptable.
Yeah.
And just to throw that in, because we know this is what's going on in current events, how are you going to have South Africans fighting against Ghanaians and Nigerians from coming there, but they won't do a damn thing to the people who stole it over there and still rule over them, even though apartheid technically is gone? You won't lift a finger to say anything against them or to them, and you'll still patronize them, but you're fighting against your own. What if Africa had no boundaries, no borders from the Berlin Conference? What you gonna say? We all the same.
Yeah.
We may have different tribes, different languages, but it's the same thing.
And then the one brother that's been fighting for them, they didn't even stand up for him when the apartheid Nazis took him and imprisoned him.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, that blew my mind when I saw that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's happening to us everywhere.
But you know what? It reminds me of the movie either Night of the Living Dead, but I like Dawn of the Dead, the original from back in the 60s.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where they were holed up in this house and zombies would come into the house to get them. But I think if they bit you, you would turn into one of them. And I remember one of the persons that were in the movie looked and saw a person that they knew, and they said, oh, no, not you. So my thing is that we get bitten with this mentality, mind, body, and soul. And some of us who used to be resisting that thing will turn around and we'll say to them, oh, no, not them. You're not about it no more.
Yes.
You're worshiping the other side. What happened to you? Please whack me over the head if something like that happens to me, man. Take me out of here if something like that happens to me. Because I'm going to say it. There's no way I come all these years after all I've been through to turn around and turn on my people who may even be ignorant to what they have to do. But I'm not jumping on the other side.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. Yes, it's not in your spirit and your mind, heart, brother. And that is a special gift that you have. And those of us that have this gift, male and female, we must continue. Could you imagine how our ancestors, because they are here, their spirits are here, whether you believe it or not.
Always connected.
Imagine how they feel after all that they had to struggle and fight through to make a better life for us. And as we're going to see today, we have gone back almost 100 years. But the point we want to make with our topic today, Stay Woke, is we must remember the divine laws that are in us, the laws of Mayat, and the fact of the law of polarity. So when they say something is negative, then by default, we know it's positive for us and vice versa.
Right. But
you're so busy trying to connect with them. If they're negative, you're going to be negative. If they're positive, then you're going to be, oh yeah, we can do this, we can do that. So this is where we're caught up into, and we're going to cover a very important part of our history today. And we're going to break down this word, and we're going to talk about why we must now take back our word woke. Okay, like all of the words that were a part of who we are in a struggle, it's like somebody spitting in your face. They have turned it into a negative terminology that makes you feel somehow inferior. So, brother, I want to start out with that picture of the Scottsboro 9 today, or the Scottsboro boys. Yes. Now, this is an important, that's why they want to get rid of the Smithsonian.
See that?
Oh, yeah, because this is not just, this is American history. Okay, Black history is American history. Let's get that out the way. But the reason why it's important for us to go back and examine our history is because that's what keeps you focused and on your mission without being sidetracked by any foolishness or wickedness that they throw at you. Now, they don't teach this in the history books. But those of us that know this history know that this is something that was a turning point for Black people. In fact, this was one of the first, the first documented incident where there was a legal challenge, okay, against those who would continue to use those laws against us, the Black Code, to keep us from progressing. And I'm sure you guys can read that, what's on there. And I just want to go into what we're talking about today, beginning with this. So there's some interesting parallels, like I was telling you, Lance, from 1931 to where we are now, right now. Okay. And I don't know if you can't see that we're in a depression, and they throw around these words like a recession and all this stuff. No, we are in the same type of depression that we were in 1931. So the Scottsboro boys, this trial is one of the best examples of American injustice in the history of American jurisprudence. It is also the first documented use of the word woke in a social political movement. The 1930s were marked by deep inequality and hardships. However, it was also the early steps towards political realignment and organized civil rights activism. So here we see this was the first time that Black people openly challenged a situation that involved injustice with our people. Okay, yes. And I don't know how many people have seen the movie. This is a good movie to share with your teenagers. And they're the way they are because we haven't passed down our sense of vision as well. That's on us. Okay, like Lance was saying. We no longer have to put the Savior in the middle. Okay. We are the Savior.
Exactly.
So just to give a quick synopsis of this incident, again, it was in 1931. Some Black kids, teenagers, the youngest one was, I think, 12. His name was Norris. They were, as all Blacks during this time, as part of the Great Migration that started in 1910, they wanted a better life, try to head north from the South. So there were two young white teenagers on the train. And so these young men young black boys. They got into an argument with some white men, calling them the N-words, threatening to throw them off the train. Okay. So they got in a fight. Of course, you know who won. So they got angry. And then when they got to the next stop, they got off and told the white people in that stop that the white boys had raped the two white teenagers that was on the train. And you know, it always ends up with one of us getting accused of raping or RPDing a white female. This is how it starts, right? Now, mind you, the two young white women that was in this incident, they were, I guess, for lack of a better word, prostitutes. Okay, so they would have sex with black men in black areas and with white men. But like one of the narrators was saying, it's like, it's not until a black man is involved that all of a sudden they become pure virgin white women again. And that means untouchable for you.
Right. That's their biggest fear anyway.
That's their
genetic
biggest
annihilation.
Fear. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's a legitimate fear because, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said, that is their number one fear. Genetic annihilation. And that is we know from nature that is an absolute fact, okay, with the dominant and recessive gene.
They know it.
Okay, so they arrested these boys, they locked them up, and black folks was like, nah, we're not going for this, because we know we've seen these same white girls in our communities. Okay, so how in the world? And so anyway, it never happened.
Right.
But they locked them up anyway. They had a trial. It actually went all the way. This is the other thing. It was the first time that a case involving our people went all the way to the Supreme Court. And then finally the Supreme Court said, no, something is wrong with this. All right. And one of the white ladies, she actually left town. And they found her, I think, like 40 years later or 50 years later. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, they finally, after all these years locked up, they finally was acquitted. One of them was given, I can't think of the terminology right now, but anyway, they wiped this off his record. And Governor Wallace did that because this was Scottsboro, Alabama. Now, the reason why I went into that is to show the continuity of the exact same system we live under today. So this is why when people smile in your face and tell you you're doing better, and you think because fiat, which by the way, they're getting ready to drop the last 3% of that. They already got that, in motion. Okay. So we know that this situation that existed here also exists today. So let's get to the word woke. How did that word actually come into being? Okay. There was a singer named Lead Belly, who actually in 1938, in his 1938 song, The Scottsboro Boys, was the first person to publicly use this term as part of an awareness campaign highlighting this pivotal historical event. Okay. It admonished Black people to stay woke and vigilant against racism and violence. And I thought about that script that our people used to talk about all the time, about being vigilant because the devil, like a roaring lion, is walking around seeking whom he may devour, right? And I thought about that, and that's the reason why it's important to stay woke. That is a good thing for Black people. Let's get this straight, because these crazy people think, when they can use these coons and coonesses to shade our people like, oh, the woke people. Yeah, we're really woke, okay? We are more woke than anybody on the planet, and we're going to see this in our vision. The other fight that's going on is, I was talking to a good friend of mine, and she was telling me, she said, Neil, they're consulting with mediums more and more because Black people's power is coming out and they're afraid. But they
Yes.
know that this is a power above what they just fool our people in these churches, okay?
Yep.
But the power of the creator creatrix, that sun energy that is in us is now overwhelming because they see things that we are not privy to because they hide it. But the reason why they have to use this terminology against us is because that's part of this, my girl Jenny calls it white magic, okay? While they telling you about black magic. And boy, I thought about it. I came home that night. I was like, okay, I need to kind of look into this a little more. And I started looking around for instances, and because I look back at our history all the time. I don't listen to these crazy people because the answers are in our history because it's not really the past. Okay, it's the same energy.
But they're teaching us to look at it as the past, like it's something old and forgotten that we can't connect to, but it's right there. It's like complaining that our food is thawing out and spoiling, but the plug to the fridge to go into the wall is right there in front of us, but they don't want us to see that plug and make that connection.
Absolutely. That is absolutely correct. They don't want you to plug that socket in the wall. Because when you do, and they go to try to pull it out, they're going to get shocked. Okay.
More than shocked. Electrocuted.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get more than shocked. So let's give the definition of this term. So let's be clear about this, because see, they know this history because they study the Smithsonian so they can know how to hide stuff from you. Okay. See, this and I want to say this, because I personally know, Lance, I've told you this story before. When I took my 11th grade class to go to the Smithsonian, they blocked us. And then the assistant principal suspended me.
What?
Yeah. At Washington High School. And he said, well, you have to have permission from the superintendent's office. I was like, we're going on a field trip. And I see all these white schools up in here. You telling me that you're going to penalize me for taking our students in? It was a black dude. And see, they always put these black gatekeepers in these positions. And they're the ones that block our progress. It's not the white people. They don't have to do anything anymore.
Right.
They've been done with that. But this term, they know the value of this term. They know that it comes from this event in history. But they have demonized this word so much that black people don't even want to say it. I mean, we're saying it more now. Right. And see, that is what, when you take your power back, and there was a movie I saw one time, very popular movie. It was called, it was about the president of the United States having some connection, clear and present danger. And he made a statement. They had found out that the president of the United States was friend with this major drug kingpin in a South American country. Okay, so he said, his advisor said, well, Mr. President, you got to go and get out in front of this and take the air out of it. Because as long as you're not out in front, if you don't get out in front of this, then they're going to spin their own narrative. And that's what he did. He went out. Yeah, me and him went to school together. You know, I thought he was a businessman in South America. I had no idea that he was doing this. Okay. So this is what our people need to do. And we're doing that in little bits and pieces that you need to take. This is a very powerful word And when we're going to see, when it's combined with this other symbol, we're going to show the power in it. But I just want to define the word, this phrase or term, stay woke. It evolved from a mid-20th century Black vernacular English phrase urging vigilance and awareness against racial oppression. It has been deliberately morphed into a negative, hateful, anti-Black stigma that is weaponized against Black unity and progress. So I want to now pivot into, Lance, if you put our favorite symbol up there, the hand. See, this is another thing too. Now, this is from a book called Stay Woke that I urge our people to read and share with our young people. But there were some interesting things that happened in the 1930s that you're going to see that's the exact duplicate of what we're experiencing today. And we're going to break this down in terms of the social, political, and economic climate of Black America in the 1930s. And I'll use a statement that Malcolm used: those that forget the past are destined to repeat it.
Yes,
that
indeed.
is a fact. We see that happening. The good thing is our people are saying we're not our ancestors and we're not going back to that. However, the mistake we're making is we're getting caught up into all of their rhetoric rather than the power is in our symbols and in the spoken word. The thing that they have co-opted is their ability to get out front and then set the narrative for our people. We have got to take that back. Okay, so let's look at the Great Depression and the Jim Crow era. The social, political, and economic conditions in America were harsh, but Black Americans were resilient in their pursuit of civil rights and equal treatment under the law. See, this was a very, very important aspect of our history, okay? Because now they're saying, oh, so now you're going to fight back. This stunned them, okay? Although our people had been fighting them on plantations for hundreds of years, okay? They did not think that we could organize and come against them and use their same legal system and beat them at that. That was a big blow to the system. That was their first gut punch. And so that's why when you evoke the spirit of our struggle and our ancestors with our symbols, okay, we're not ashamed of our symbols. We're proud of them. Exactly. And we have to stop this. Okay, let them keep this the little boy, little girl stuff going on. Start teaching our children our real history.
Yeah.
And this would you say, Lance, this is probably one of the top 3 symbols for Black America?
Yes, I would.
What were the brothers that went to the Olympics? One was named Tommy something. Huh?
Yes. Oh God.
I can't think of their names either.
Carlos was one of them.
Carlos, yeah. Carlos was one too.
Let me just see here.
But that is when this symbol went global.
Yep.
Because you see, before then, the world didn't really know about what the hell that Black people were going through. But when these brothers stood on the podium, in the Olympics.
That was Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
John Carlos. Thank you, brother. Yes. What year was that?
1968.
Okay, 1968.
And in contrast, the funny thing, George Foreman waved around the American flag.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big contrast.
Yes.
You know, I was, and I always go back and look at these brothers and say, man, that took heart.
At that time, especially
During that time. But you see, one of the things that our people have to get in their heads is forget about blaming these people about stuff anymore. Start putting out real, but because there's a lot of ignorance in America.
Oh man, tell me about it.
There's a lot of it is willful ignorance where you don't want to see the truth. But a lot of it, they really don't know. They really have not been taught. But those that do know the truth, yes, that's an iconic picture. They hide the truth from the rest of them to keep them dumbed down.
That's right.
That is an iconic picture, brother. You don't see this. I remember when, what was this show that used to come on? The Agony of Defeat, the Thrill of Victory.
The sports, the Thrill of Victory, the Agony of Defeat.
Yes, they used to show a lot of these iconic pictures.
Yeah. Okay,
but again, we have to realize that propaganda is one of their biggest weapons in their toolbox. So they have to eliminate iconic pictures of our struggle. Because when they're able to do that, they remove that from your subconscious.
Yes.
So the subconscious mind is very, very strong because it's connected to your etheric spirit and your true self. Okay. And all of us have a public and a private or a true self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So during this time, let's look at the economic climate, and you can leave that picture there, Brother Lance.
Okay.
Let's look at the economic climate, and I want to say something about this this picture right here. Okay, this was the symbol of Black spirit, of revolution and resistance against tyranny. Okay, because you got to remember during that time, the Black folks was catching pure hell. They had just come out of the sharecropping. Well, I mean, sharecropping was still in existence, but the Jim Crow laws, okay, were still being enforced. There was still this threat of death hanging over their heads. It was still this kind of energy where that's why this energy that is coming back through other cultures as well, this is all still a part of this.
That's right.
And we're talking almost 100 years old, 100 years in terms of what we're looking at today and the same energy that has come back around again. But the economic climate, the Great Depression hit Black Americans earlier and harder than white Americans. Number one, there was higher unemployment. There were Black workers were often last hired and first fired. Great picture. That is a great picture, Lance. In some areas, unemployment rates for Black Americans reach 50% or higher. Now, they always lie about this unemployment rate. Right now, I would say the unemployment rate for Black people is about 25 to 30%. Okay, because remember, they only calculate that for people who are actively looking for employment. They don't go knocking on your door saying, hey, Ninja, did you go in this week and down to the unemployment office? That's how they keep track of it. So we know that half the Black people that's unemployed, they're not going down to the unemployment office. Number two, low paying jobs. Many were limited to agricultural labor. And see, our people get confused you got to go back and look at the sharecropping era as well, okay? Because my dad was a sharecropper. So you got to go back and you got to look at that, because what people don't realize, this is why they're saying we need Black people back on our farms. And I hear Black people saying, well, when were we on your farms? So we need to re-educate ourselves on our history, and then we need to teach it to our young people. Because if they continue down this path that they're on, it's going to be real bad for us.
Exactly.
Again, okay. But the economic climate was really tough on Black people. Many were limited to agricultural labor or domestic service. In other words, cleaning up people's houses, taking care of their children, cooking for them. So, in Blacks during the sharecropping time, which includes the time we're talking about today, Black people were still doing the same functions. They were just not legally bound physically. But spiritually and psychologically, they were still in chains. And see, this is what we have forgotten, the struggle that our people went through. And so this is why they get angry when you take back your word like woke. Trust and believe they're angry about that. The other thing was, now during this time, Franklin D. Roosevelt came out with the New Deal. So there were New Deal limitations when it came to us, because programs under FDR provided some relief, but many excluded occupations dominated by Black workers, like farm and domestic labor. Okay, so we know that this was the main reason why they formulated unions, because Black people had all the skills. So what do? They come out on television and say, well, Black people should be thankful that they learned all these skills. And no, you should be thankful, because you would have died from not being able to cook for yourself. Your children would not have survived if they didn't get that high protein milk from our sister's breast. And you would have died because your crops would be, oh, thank you, Creatrix. Oh, yeah, okay. That's why the crops are failing now. It's the exact same thing. But only this is retribution.
Yes.
Okay. No, we're going to turn over the stones today, because you're trying to take our people back 100 years, and it's not going to happen. Okay. That is not going to happen. Number 4 is sharecropping and debt. Now we know, Lance, we used to show a picture on some of our shows of that sharecropping system, right? So they give them the tools, the seeds. They go back to their little rooms that they used to live in, right? But they have to pay rent. They have to pay for the tools. They have to pay for the seeds, even though they were still masters, or whatever you want to call them. The terminology, master slave, even though we know they're not real masters, that's the term that they use. Or I like to say more slave owners. Yeah. So what happened was, every year, now this happened for 150. Now imagine this. Every year, our people will come up short, okay, where they ended up owing now, but they still getting the crops now, right? This is how they stayed ahead.
That's
by
right.
exploiting our people, Black exploitation. So what they would do is they would take all the crops from the Black folks, right, and say, oh no, you're not, And so our people believe in the good Christian theory. Well, if the Lord said I didn't make enough, then I didn't make enough. There
Yeah.
you go.
They
Now,
thought.
our people were very humble at that time. Well, they had to be, again, they had to be, okay. But they also always fought against them. There were over 300 slave rebellions, but they only have 12 of them in history. Okay. I know this history, so I don't care what nobody say. But sharecropping and debt. In the South, systems like sharecropping kept Black families trapped in cycles of poverty and dependency for over 150 years. See, when you go back, the other reason why they don't want to talk about real Black history, they don't want the people that come to this country that don't know the sacrifices that Black people made even for them to be here.
Right.
Because if they had to go through this, they would be done.
You're
Oh,
right.
they would be done if they had to go through this.
Straight up.
That's why I will always worship our ancestors, brother, because my own father and uncles and my aunties and my mother, I seen it. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't care what nobody say. This ain't something I'm theorizing. Okay. Now, the other thing about this sharecropping, it was so cruel. Yes. Every function in American society was done by either a Black man or a Black woman. If you want to dispute that, let's go. Every function in all areas of human activity, all areas. There were no immigrants here. There were no white people doing domestic and agricultural work. Okay. So I'm getting sick of this, man.
Yep.
These people gutted the spirit out of our people. And then you want to take credit when you have already benefited from everything our ancestors do. And on top of that, you want to drive us in the ground like when you slash the baby out of our one of our sister's stomach and smash it on the ground. No. We say no. This is the end of this. And all these people who want to be with you to spread this evil against our people, I'm talking to you too. I don't care who you are or where you're from. Okay. And I guarantee you she worked 16 to 18 hours a day and probably slept 4 hours and had to get right back up and cook and get in the field and suckle their babies, get back. And see, I don't care what you say about our women, what you see, what they have made them into, our young women. I worship Black women, brother.
Oh, yes.
They are the strongest. And I don't care, the brothers can get mad at me. I'm done with that foolishness, bro. I'm done with that.
Yep.
I'm tired of the attacks on our sisters. This has got to stop. And our sisters have got to realize that they are at least 50% of the problem too. Okay. Now, either we're going to come and get a knockout, or we're getting ready to lose all 15 rounds. That's it, and that's all. You can pretend and act all you want. I don't care. Okay? But that sharecropping system destroyed our people. Yeah. It destroyed our people. And see, every year, our people will go, because I done studied the slave narratives, okay? I done listened to Fountain Hughes and all of the rest of them. They would go down by the river, okay? And they would pray. And they would say, Lord, we have your harvest. Bruh. Sometimes I have to control my anger when when I deal with this.
I know what you mean.
Because see, our people did this out of their heart, gave them all. And they would say, well, the Lord is going to bless you. But for 150 years, our people had to go through this. So let's look at the social climate. And that's a great picture. Racial discrimination was deeply embedded in everyday life, just like what you're looking at when they're looking at strange fruit.
Yep.
Brother, I just don't know how anyone that claims to be a human being can stand and look at something like that.
Yeah.
And then just, cut off, you know what they did.
Yeah, they cut off her private parts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And kept them as trophies.
Yeah.
Where do you think the fascination with pickles and cucumbers come from?
Of course. Oh, I can go deep into that.
I know you can. I know you can.
I'm gonna do a rant on that.
I know you are. So, and see, what they do is they bury this stuff while at the same time attacking our people on a daily basis all day long, like we're some kind of demonic force. No. The demonic force that that
I'm gonna roll tonight. Pay me no mind.
The demonic, I can't even say the word. The demonic force that's running rapid in America today is coming through one source. And all those that align themselves with that source, you're going to be susceptible to something that you have no idea that's coming at you. Okay. But during the Jim Crow era, segregation was very important to them. That's why they keep going. So in nature, things progress where the fruit is the outcome, right?
Yep.
But now, if you're going back from the fruit to the branch, to the tree, to the root, to the seed, then that's telling me that you're going back with something is wrong. Because nature goes upward, not downward. So how is it that America has gone back 100 years or 96 years? Is it 96 or 95? One of them. And you going backwards. But you're pretending as if we're progressing. For who? For who?
Exactly.
Because according to your religion, all men are created equal. Isn't that what you say? No, these little boy, little girl games is over with. Don't you say that all men are created equal. You say this in your Constitution. This is another reason why Project 2025, one of their main goals is to take away the power of the U.S. Constitution from the people. And when we say that, you know who they're coming after first. You know who they're coming after.
That's right.
Because they are afraid of your power. Okay. Now, the other thing that happened was during the Jim Crow, the Jim Crow laws enforced separation in schools and housing and transportation and public facilities. Now, the reason for that was that they could take all the resources like they do today. They live like kings and queens while we live in squalor.
Yes.
That is the whole reason why they voted against their own interests. Only hate makes you stupid or ignorant. Why in the world? We already know the answers to that. Well, you own one today. You definitely going back in the vote. Oh man, that's a good thing. So the reason why so this is behind them coming up with this silly idea of having these white-only towns. That is a caterpillar behavior at its finest. So that tells me that you don't have the ability to socialize with human beings, because Black folks are. We don't have any Neanderthal blood in us. Mm-hmm. It's been tested already. We don't have the DNA. So if you want to really get down to it, when you separate from the source, the sun energy, you're going to die. Okay? If the sun stops shining, everything in nature is going to die, including us. Right or wrong?
That's right.
So these are things that a lot of them are not even aware of their behavior. I bet you the average person or racist couldn't give you a plausible answer to why they are. I guarantee you that. The second one, during this social climate, during this time, the great pictures that's reminding us of this, violence and intimidation. They've always done that. Sundown towns, yes. Violence and intimidation. Lynching and racial violence, while declining from earlier decades, still occurred and reinforced white supremacy. Now, don't worry, the second half of the presentation, we're going to talk about where we are and what's happening in the cosmos and why there is no power on the planet that can stop it. Also, there was the Great Migration, okay, or the continuation of it. Many Black Americans moved from the rural South to northern and Midwest cities, seeking jobs and less overt racism. Continuing a trend that began earlier, I believe it started in 1910. And the last social part of the social climate during that time was cultural life. Despite hardship, Black culture, just like today, flourished in music. Well, I wouldn't say music today, because we don't listen to our real music like, we listen to. They listen to weaponized music that has a spirit attached to it to attack you. Despite hardship, Black culture flourished in music, literature, and art, and building on the legacy of the Harlem Renaissance. Okay, let's look at the political climate during this time. Party realignment. Many Black voters began shifting from the Republican Party or Party of Lincoln, great pictures, brother, to the Democratic Party because of the New Deal relief efforts. Okay, now we're talking again, we're going back to almost 100 years of this political climate. Okay, now a lot of people get confused about this, but again, we know that it's just two wings of the same bird. Okay, that's what we know. Also, there was limited representation. Black Americans had little political power, okay, especially in the South, where voter suppression, like we see today, poll taxes, literacy tests, where they would ask our people all of these ridiculous questions that they knew they couldn't answer. It was widespread. However, advocacy and organizations and groups like the NAACP worked to challenge segregation, and also to push anti-lynching laws, which were repeatedly failed in Congress. And also, just like they have the Black Congressional Black Caucus today, they have what they call the Black Cabinet, who were advisors to the president, to President Roosevelt, including Mary McLeod Bethune, which HBCU is named after this great Black woman. And boy, we had some great Black sisters during that time.
That's right.
So now, since we see what the real deal is and why they have demonized and weaponized this word against us, brother, I want to pivot into our awakening and where we are, what's happening in the universe, and where we are as a people, what's really happening, and why they are consulting these spiritual mediums. But I'm gonna let you finish up with your.
I'm just mixing at the turntable right here, man, snatching photos off the internet and flowing along with your narrative.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That is those pictures, because that brings the energy of that era, which our people have forgotten.
Yeah,
this was a deliberate act. Thank you for those pictures, because again, our subconscious mind is where a war is going on as well.
Yeah.
Now, Black folks get angry at this, but we know that at least 90% of what is in our subconscious is Caesar Borgia and a lot of the other images that have been uploaded into us. Okay.
That's right.
So we know that once we replace these with the pictures that what Lance was showing, our pictures like our brothers who were in the Olympics, our picture, the Black Fist, and we reclaim our strength, then we know we are on the right path.
That's right.
So now, brother, I want to pivot into the Great Awakening. Yes. This is.
I'm going to say one thing real quick that I'm just so appreciative of those. I'm not going to say faceless men and women, but remember, I was born in Washington Heights and raised in Washington Heights and Harlem before we moved to Queens, but I still had my connection to Harlem and Washington Heights.
Yeah.
So my father on his job, on his work, single digit ages coming on up. So these men that were in their 70s and 80s, back in the late 60s and early 70s, they were born in the late 1900s. And at that time, we didn't have cars there were still cars that might have been 10 years old that had the wing tips on the back,
Oh, yeah. I remember those, like Ford, Buick.
Yeah, it was almost like when you look at something black and white, like on a black and white TV, or when they portray something back in the day, they don't do it in color. What I'm saying is that a lot of the encouraging conversations that I received as a young Black man, encouraging men that were sitting on the steps, they worked all week and they were just talking with friends in the neighborhood, the community feel, that's my root. I can't erase that out of my head. Sometimes I look around, and even though I'm in Africa right now, when I look around in my mind, as I wander the streets of New York City in my mind and my heart, back in those days, I wonder where those times have gone. Even when I was there in the more modern times before I left, I always wonder where those times are, where have they gone? Where have those people gone? I know that many have transitioned, but why haven't we inherited that spirit? Because I'm gonna tell you something. I received a voicemail so passionate from one of my sisters, and we were going back and forth, that I had to shed tears. I was playing it on the phone and hanging up clothes in the backyard, and the words that she hit me with were so deep, so deep. And so I understand why these demons, these shallow thinking, going nowhere, hellbound demons come after us so hard, because they hate us for who we are. They hate our destiny. They hate our mission and our role on this earth according to the Creator and nature. and they have to stop it. They have no chance. That's their legacy. They're here to raise hell, and we're not going to let them. So when they see a person like yourself and all the wonderful brothers and sisters in the chat room and who are watching, it burns them up. One more thing real quick. That Michael Jackson movie, many of them are hating on it so much.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but enough people have told me, and I'm going to see it. But
reviews on it.
The white critics and these critics, they're so pissed that Michael Jackson, who is an African man, right? He many of us have our contradictions, but at the heart of it, we do love who we are, but because of who we've been around, we're sometimes mixed up. But him at the core as a businessman, as a man who flows with African energy and a love for his people, yes, there are things in his upbringing that have affected him, but he was a mighty human being. And when I was younger, I was like, oh man, look at him, he's messed up, he did this. But when you pull back and look at it, how those reviews came, and I'm gonna write and talk about it after this show. I'm gonna record something, because the words that she shared with me brought tears to my eyes and a deeper understanding of the attacks on us and how they don't want to see us have any heroes, and we're not supposed to thrive. We're not supposed to be victorious in this system, because here they come. Why didn't the movie have the allegations that were put on him? And why? But yeah, look at him. He owned half of Sony. He's a shrewd businessman. He endured, and it's our fault that we didn't stand by him throughout that whole thing. Some of us believe in the lies. And this is what they do to us and our heroes. Nobody's perfect, but their heroes and their people, they protect. That's why we got a war going on in Iran with this Epstein files cover up and all this stuff Trump has done, and all these freaks and weirdos and child molesters. I'm gonna say it. All the things they've done, they cover up. They want to actually whitewash, which is not a good term, but us, they have to always nitpick. Oh, he was great with this, but what about that? What about this? We got to stand more by our people. None of us are perfect. It's hard. How are you going to lay in a garbage dumpster called America in a white mentality mindset and come out smelling good, even though you have a good heart? So they always try to come at us and pick at little things, but they don't look at the greater good. They couldn't stand Marcus Garvey. They couldn't stand Malcolm X. And it's our fault why we don't stand by them. Why did Malcolm X's a widow die broke and couldn't make ends meet? That's our that's for us.
Wow.
No matter what. Why are so many of us who've given their lives, we turn our head, but we complain about, or in death, oh yes, the X shirt and Malcolm X and this one and that one. When they're alive, we turn our back on them. Just because that demon might have brought up something from their past that was, look, do you stop using a shovel because it may have a little dirt on it? It's been used for something else. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, I ain't perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
I mean? I've done some things, nothing twisted, but you know what I'm saying? We all go through stuff, but why do we always focus on that? And that demon always brings us to look at those things. Look how we've endured. Look how mighty we are. Look how strong we are. Even when some of us have fallen by the wayside, they look to us with the strength. There are many broken down black men and black women who are on drugs, and they would see me coming through the street shadow boxing, and they say, hey man, we love his spirit. Keep that, protect that young man. I've had guys that were on drugs that had their drug money. They say, hey man, go to the store and get some candy, get something. I'm gonna give you this. Or let me get, you don't want to end up like this. Why can't we take the good part of us and share that love and go on with it? Just like, and I'm gonna shut up after this, after you see the men running in the marathon and you got total strangers holding little cups of water to make them have a little drink. Why can't we give of ourselves that way instead of these fake ass people who like to talk and get on YouTube and get on, and they're not really about it. They don't know the core of it. They just look at YouTube videos and now they're a scholar. They didn't live through it. They didn't see eye to eye to people, the real people. You see what I'm saying? So if they shut me off of YouTube, I'll be out there with a bullhorn or talking to people one-on-one. That's who I am. It's the amount of imposters and posturers and people who are revolutionary by day, but they up in the white woman's behind at night. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a lot out here, like there's a lot of frauds out here.
I
Trust and
know.
believe. Oh yeah,
I
they
know.
get promoted too. But go ahead, brother. I'm just feeling it.
No,
I've been feeling it all day. You know what I mean?
yeah, no. Everything you said was definitely necessary and spot on. And you know, somebody I had read somewhere where Michael Jackson actually took kids into Neverland to keep from Epstein and those pedophiles, those vampires, from getting it. So they got angry and they spit, just like what they do with woke. They claimed that he was a child molester when there are no kids that have ever. I remember the little white kid, they try to force to say it, and you can look in his face. Okay, he did not want to say that. He was like, but I love Michael. And he, you know, and they were trying to convince him to talk against him. And the thing about Michael Jackson is the perfect symbol in energy, because my oldest son used to love him. That's what got him into music, with the dancing and everything. But Michael Jackson was such they were afraid of him because they knew not only did he have the iconic spirit that people loved and his music and everything he did, but he also, no matter how soft he looked, he had a steel will.
Yeah.
And
There's
they
stories
hate
about him
that.
with that.
That's why they
That's
hate
right.
you, brother. They hate that quality in black men because it is that quality that have helped us survive. I don't care what they say about black men. Black men have stood up against every single thing that they have done to us,
Right.
and continue to do. And so they know that you have something inside of you that cannot be broken. They know this. But I'll tell you something that was really funny. It's almost like a sign, like everything else, depending on, you know, how you look at it. But the brother that came from behind that won that marathon, did you see that?
Yeah.
Now, now to show you the arrogance and narcissism that they live in this system, he thought the people were cheering him that, you know, he's going to win, right?
Right.
And this brother is going all out. I mean, he is going all out. And the white people trying to warn him, he's behind you. He's behind. They wasn't saying that. They was just cheering, right?
Right.
For the brother to keep going. And the white people were cheering, trying to tell him to speed up. And man, that was like, I was like, wow, that is some type of sign right there.
Yeah.
That is some type of sign. But yeah, you know, I don't think that we have done a good job with all of the things that you have been talking about and your experiences and the pictures that we went through. We have not done a good enough job putting our history out. All we're doing is fighting against the narratives that they put up. This is not, you cannot play defense. You're not going to win any sport or sporting event only playing defense. You got to have some type of offense. So what is our offense? Stop worrying about all this stuff that they're uploading. Don't worry your mind about.
And now they got AI to put out
now
false things that look so real.
Yeah.
You can't even tell the difference now. You see what I mean?
Yes, absolutely you can. It's absolutely insane. So just to kind of pivot from this segment, brother, is there something else you wanted to say about this before we go into the awakening?
Oh, no, I'm good, brother. I'm good.
You got it all out. Look like you have one of those
Trust me,
stories.
I got a whole bunch of microphones here and a whole lot of time. So after the show, it's going to be me and the mic. I don't know what's going to come out, but it's going to come out.
Right. So if you want to start out with that picture of the Great Awakening, I want to put something out here for our people to grasp. Okay, not that one, the first one you put up.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, we are currently in the early stages of the largest collective, not individual, collective awakening ever witnessed in the history of all mankind. Now, let that sink in for a minute. Okay. See, again, everything that we do and focus on now, we must begin to reconnect with this energy you're looking at. That's you. That's our ancestors. That's our etheric spirits, that energy that never dies. Okay, like Maya Angelou says, the energy within never dies, and the energy without never dies. Okay? And see, there is a greater source now that's moving, or I should say greater force that's moving in the universe. So we know that celestial power affects terrestrial power, okay? We know this, all right? And I'll give an example because nature is our greatest teacher. And I use this example a lot. But when Sirius B rises at a certain point during a helical rising, the now is going to overflow. So what our people did, they looked and saw the relationship between every year when this star showed up, okay, and they were able to gauge it by the sun. Because again, we were taught through nature, our real teacher. We're not taught through narratives like you are now. And they would see that this star affected this great river, the Nile River, where all of their life-sustaining crops were planted. So they put together a system. Okay, we know every year this is going to happen. So our storehouses are going to overflow, and they always did. So what happened? The first thing that happened when the Europeans went into Kibalon and they saw all these storage seeds, they even did a story in the Bible. They're very cunning, okay, about Joseph. That story is about you, okay? But there's a book called Things Fall Apart that tells this story. So first thing they did, they looked, and this is where they created this system called supply and demand that we live by to this day, or trickle down voodoo economics. We know where that came from. But they said, oh no, we're going to have to take all of these seeds out of these storehouses, and then we're going to have to ration them out so instead of, because this was also a worship season, we never separated the two. We were grateful for everything the creatrix spirit has given us. We didn't need anything, no fiat from anybody. Still don't today. It's just that you have learned this system. So rather you trying to help another brother or sister, you fighting against them for nothing. So they saw this system and they said they got jealous. The same jealousy they have today and the enviousness because of the love of the creator towards you. And so they said, no, we're going to end this right now, today. And as they told that story in the Bible, Joseph, there was a food drop, right? And then they throw in the part about him being sold. All of this is symbolic. But you've been taught to look at it like this emotionally. Okay? This is all your symbolic history. But nevertheless, we're in the Great Awakening right now. And who are the people that's closest connected to this energy? It's you.
That's right.
So this is what they're fighting to disconnect you from. They'll tear down the whole, it's like the old adage, well, if I can't have you, nobody else is. They'll even sacrifice their own people to try to stop this great power. the Nibiru power. I call Lance Nibiru. They'll do everything in their power. Okay. They'll shadow ban you. They'll cut you off from getting any type of assistance from anything to sustain yourself. Think of the cruelty of that. Okay. But this is the time that we're in right now. And we cannot. Okay. So this is the point I wanted to make about this great awakening. I want to read this again. We are currently in the early stages of the largest collective, not individual, collective awakening ever witnessed. So what does that mean? The revolution is going to be televised. You're going to see it. In fact, it's going to be the largest collective awakening that anybody has ever seen in the history of all mankind. That is a powerful statement. But that is talking about you. So now, the war that you're in, this spiritual war that you're in, and this psychological war, you're going to have to pivot, okay, away from people's narratives and look at who you are and then concentrate and focus on that. Because the other thing too is when you're, and by the way, all of your downloads come from here, okay? Mm-hmm. It doesn't come from somebody sitting behind a computer or a device and uploading stuff all day, calling you an ninja and all that. Let all this look, okay? We can't let this time, as I always like to say, this is an energy vortex that's open again. So we know that what they do as a counterfeit spirit, they open CERN. Why? Because they need something that, and these entities that they bow down to try to stop this, which they can't. It's just you that's out of alignment. Okay, brother, and I want to go through that last visual with the stages of what happens with this. Yes. So the first stage is, number one is the dark night of the soul. Okay, and we can relate this to the Jim Crow law era, slavery era, and the sharecropping era, where there's a feeling of loss, hopelessness, and confusion. Okay, we withstand. See, a lot of the battles that you're fighting now, we've already overcome that. But they keep taking you back in your mind. Or they show. That's why it's important, like the pictures Lance showed today. We have to look at these pictures, okay? Because the pictures they're showing you online is always something negative about, oh yeah, well, they died because they sold their soul to the devil. Now, a lot of that is true, that they're worshiping the same entities that these people, but these entities don't like you. Okay?
That's right.
They don't like you. And the only reason they like them is because they are serving them or to serve man. So we've got to start pivoting, okay, and comprehending in nature that we're in the Great Awakening. All right, so the second stage is disillusionment. Complacency with life is replaced by dissatisfaction with how things are. And this happened to our people in the 60s. Okay, our people was tired of this.
Yes.
Okay, no, we're not doing this no more, partner. We're not. We're done with this. Okay. And so they begin to organize. Again, this is why you're being divided so much. You can look. And I like to take the same scripts that you swear by because I know them just as well as you. Okay. How can two or three accomplish anything or go down the same road if they don't think alike? That's impossible. This is why they are on code against you. But now we're in stage 3, where we're seeking deeper meaning and experiences. And experiencing, I can't see the last part. You see what that word is after that, Lance?
Let me
Could you read that,
yeah.
number 3?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, experiencing, thank you, breakthroughs. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to read that again because this is very important. And this is where we are in the awakening stage.
Mm-hmm.
You can think of it of being in the chrysalis. Okay. You're no longer a caterpillar anymore. So we are seeking deeper meanings and experiences through breakthroughs. Breakthroughs through what? Okay. We are breaking through the veil that has been placed over our eyes, over our minds, and we are seeing things for what they really are. And that's what a breakthrough is, not this religious stuff they teach you. You don't need no religious breakthrough. Okay, you need an awareness breakthrough, and that's what we are experiencing now. The 4th stage, and while Lance is so passionate with his work, and I'm sure a lot of the family as well, is the inner work. You got to put in we got to put in this work. Inner work means that we have to focus on ourselves. Okay, mindfulness, we have to be mindful of who the enemy is. Okay, you read The Art of War to learn that. And I don't know what your definition of an enemy is, but an enemy is someone that's trying to destroy who you are.
Yes.
Okay. And they got weapons pointed at you to do that. That's what an enemy is. Whether that weapon is spiritual, psychological, or physical. We have to do shadow work. We need to be in the shadows doing work. You ain't got to announce everything to the world. Okay? Do the work in the shadows. See, one of the ways that they have kind of destroyed our ability to do work is this attention grabbing stuff, where our young people will do anything to get attention. And not just the young people. I'm sorry, I'm not just blaming. All of us are in this. Okay. Well, we'll do anything to be seen by the very people that's going to use what you tell them against you. Okay. So I know a lot of us are doing the shadow work for sure. Okay. And even when we're fighting against them on the internet, we're focused on, because I see a big change from last year, Brother Lance. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I see. It's almost like, when a baby is trying to come out, and I'm not trying to
Yes.
lessen the pain for our sisters. That's serious work, bro. I couldn't do it. But it's like a baby. The head is out, right? But she's gonna have to push, and it's gonna be pain involved in that. Okay.
Daggone right. Mm-hmm.
Well, once she pushed that baby out, and you hear that scream from that baby, then it immediately turns into unspeakable joy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as much as they felt the pain, they'll go through it again. And you see that peaceful moment when they're holding their baby, newborn.
Yes. Oh, man. And it's like when you walk into a hospital, when you walk into that ward where they have all the babies, it's just such a different type of energy.
It is.
Okay. But also this is their most vulnerable stage. Thank you, creatures. This is our most vulnerable stage, because somebody can walk in there and pick you up and walk out of that, take you out of that incubator and walk out of the hospital. I saw a story with a young girl, teenager, that just found out when she was 18 that wasn't her real family.
Wow.
That she was mixed up in the hospital. Then you have the people who are working for these counterfeit spirits that they'll take you, steal you, and take you to the basement where they do these rituals, or they'll sell you off to one of these pedophiles where they take you to an island.
Yep. You got to keep your eye on them. You have to have your own security.
Yeah.
When giving birth, if they take that child out of the room, you got to have somebody to go with them, because you don't know what kind of shots they're trying to give them, what they're trying to extract from them. What is that all about? They should suggest that you have a family member come. What is the secret of foolishness?
Yes. And it's a lot of secrecy. You're absolutely right. Around when a baby is born, the baby is immediately separated from the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And you better have eyes on where that baby is going. Because the way that it is now, they can exchange a clone baby with. That is actually something that they have the power to do, and they've been doing. But you know, a concept that came to me, Brother Lance, recently, where just like when Tesla, he wasn't the first one to discover it, but he's the one they give credit to. But when he started seeing the electromagnetic spectrum, okay, just like Imhotep, and knowing how that you don't need to connect any wires, that there's Wi-Fi, natural Wi-Fi, and these radio waves in the atmosphere, I was shown that this is how Neuralink is working now. It's working like a Wi-Fi system. It's not something where they think got you thinking that they're going to put a chip in your brain. That's not what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're using the same radioactive waves and the Wi-Fi signals to connect this neural link in your brain. Okay. Wow. Now, that's where my understanding and comprehension has stopped. Although I see a deeper aspect of it, I just haven't explored it as much. But it's this, they have a network of these neural links that they have connected that's working against our people. That's another reason why sun energy is the only thing that can combat it. So as long as they keep you connected from our Black Neuralink network, then they can basically take over your network, right? Or hack your network. That's a better way of looking at it. We have to do the inner child work, because see, your inner child, your etheric spirit is still pure. They can't touch that, no matter what they tell you in religion. Okay, they cannot. This is why people don't comprehend things like when they tell you in the scripts that a child shall lead them. And the reason why we misinterpret so many things is because we've been indoctrinated through a caterpillar system. Yeah. Okay. But you have to do inner child work. What does that mean? You have to look at, when you look in the mirror, you have to look at the real you, not who you're trying to present to the world, not what you want other people to think you are. You have to look at the inner child work of who you are.
Important point.
Do that. What you say, brother?
That's an important point.
Yes. We spend too much time trying to emulate other people when you haven't even done the inner child work. Okay. Well, once you do that and you become comfortable in your own skin, then that's when the real manifestation takes place. Right. And that takes deep introspection, okay, or what they like to call meditation. But you need preferably to go by a tree or a river of water, okay, get away from these these brick and mortar structures. Okay, get by something, go by. I prefer. I'll be honest with you. You know, I like my spots I have. You got to go by tree and water. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way. And you remember how those spirits got angry at Lisa Lopez when she started going by that river every day?
Mm-hmm.
And even Dr. Sabi said that she had reached a level that very few humans experienced. And boy, they came after her. Those spirits came after her. But now there was also something she was doing to invite them. I don't know because I wasn't her, but I know that she actually had reached the level of introspection that we need to be focused on as a collective. Because see, again, it's important why this awakening, great awakening that will be witnessed by all those that are here and that are not here in the physical realm, but everybody, okay, will experience this. So they have told you that somebody's going to come back through the sky and you're going to see them. This is what they hijacked, okay? Because this has already been foretold that this great awakening is going to take place. So then now let's move to the fifth stage. And we were speaking earlier where Lance was saying, we may not experience this in our lifetime, unity.
Right.
And that's a fact. That is what, so no matter what you're being told and how you view this, nature teaches us that all things that move forward are connected, the divine law of oneness. This is why this energy that's trying to reach what they call singularity in order to combat this. Well, some people said they already have. But for us, it's unity. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? That means rebirth. We know that rebirth requires you, just like being in a cocoon, losing all of your former physical and psychological connections. So at this point, your connection with the divine and your deep alignment with life and community brings about the inspiration that we will need to overcome. I think I'll end with that, brother.
It's never enough with the King of Mondays. The time goes by so fast. We get so deep. It does
go by fast.
It does.
I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It does go by fast. And you know, I feel good about the fact that we can connect on a metaphysical level and we can feel the right energy. And it's going to be pain involved in this process, okay? Because it's just like the baby with the head coming out. Unless that mother pushes and pushes and pushes, it ain't coming out. You can reach in there and try to grab it by the, because there was one doctor that actually grabbed a baby by the head, right? Mm-hmm. And killed the baby. I forgot where it was. That happened maybe less than a year ago. And they actually charged her with a crime because you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
You're supposed to let nature take its course.
That's right.
And so, yeah, brother, keep up the fight, you and the family. I feel good about where we are with the Great Awakening, but we still have work to do. You know, life ain't been no crystal stair for us, but we know that we have already overcome. The power that we have is greater than any power on this planet. But if someone can control the direction of your mindset, then you're not going to be able to come together to accomplishment. So peace and love, brother.
Thank you, brother.
And, you and the family have a great week. I know you're going to be in the ring all week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna throw punches and get knockouts and get phenomenal wins all week.
Okay.
Keep on going.
And hold on to the belts and peace and love.
Yeah, them belts ain't going nowhere. We're gonna keep on going with it, brother.
All right, brother.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on through. It's another one with the King of Mondays, or whatever day he comes on, he's the king. And I love the work that he shares, and I'll always be here for him. And I enjoy this time and the comments that are made and everybody who came through and who have yet to come through. And Brother Neil Frazier, he's a gift also, and like we say, this is how we have to share it. Even if it's not 1 million people here, when we disperse the information and he puts it out there, and he goes out into the world, into life all week, and these things and these downloads hit him. When he brings home the spiritual and mental groceries, we're ready to consume them, so to say. So on that note, I got something I want to say that I want to record. And right now it's 8:36 p.m. in West Africa, Eastern region of Ghana. And the work continues. And I just want to thank you all by your support, just by even being here. That's so much. It means so much to me. All right. Much love. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to create something in 5 minutes and speak from the heart. I'm very inspired by Brother Neil Frazier, and it's a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing. Thank you so much. Peace.
Hello, this is Martha. Actually, today I got to meet my friend Lance. Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, it's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just him, anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to LanceScurvX. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you.